Sairam, everyone.
Oh, Sairam.
Hi, Ram.
We'll start the study circle. I'll just briefly recollect what we discussed last week. We discussed quite a bit about what is the internal world, what is the external world. And the devotee is telling Swami what the external world consists of. Then Swami goes on to talk about that the entire world is a magician's trick and things like that. So we're still talking about that and trying to understand how do we deal with the internal and external world. Okay, Sairam. I think we'll proceed with the reading again. Sairam, Sister Kalyani, please go ahead.
Devotee, then there must be a performer of all this magic, right? Swami, certainly there is. That magician is God. He is endowed with countless auspicious attributes. The great sages have formed a name on the basis of each attribute and a form on the basis of each name, and have attained realization meditating on those forms, making the attributeless attribute-full and the formless formful. Is it not their experience that is being proclaimed through 1,000 tongues? In the holy scriptures, Sastra, Vedas, and Upanishads, haven't they declared how they have realized God in their totally absorbed meditation, dhyana samadhi? Each in their own way, according to their attitude and devotion and worship. Haven't they declared how each has been blessed with the vision of the Lord and the actual consummation of union with Him?
So Sairam, everyone. Swami is talking about the form and name of gods and how they have evolved from great sages who have given a name and a form based on characteristic which are appealing to them, of characteristic which they have attributed to God, who is actually attributeless. And the various names by which God has been called, and the Shastras and the Vedas, how to realize that form or name is what is being discussed. I will open it up for anyone to share what you think this paragraph or this question and answer speak about. I guess no one is speaking, so I will continue to speak for a little while until somebody interrupts me and says something. So as we can see, Swami has sort of given the evolution of how the forms of God are formed. Initially, they have attributed God with various attributes, and for each of these attributes, they have given a name. And once they give a name, then they have come up with a form for that name. So as we can see, from the attributes, names have originated. From names, the form has originated. And the reality is, the God is formless and nameless. But we have given the name and form so that we can relate to this God, who is attributeless and nameless. So that we, with our senses, are capable of relating to that God. And then the Vedas have proclaimed or given us the way how we can attain that formless God. So these are all means by which we can reach God, is what is being told here. So that's all I could understand. If anyone has any thoughts which you would like to share, please go. I think there's none, so we will proceed, Kalyani. Sister Kalyani, we can read it.
So, sorry, Sairam,
Yes, brother.
here, this, when we are worshipping is the God, that Swami mentioning this word, this is really, really very touching point for me, because when we, in Dhyana Samadhi, each in his own way, according to his attitude and devotion and worship. So we also do the same thing, like according to our attitudes and devotion, we worship different gods in a different form. Actually, we have a different, say, Ramakrishna. He had a devotion towards Kali, and every people have their own way of praying to God. That's what my take on this one. Thank you, Sarah.
Hi Ram, this is Muthukumar Swami. Actually, the name and form is given to God. Okay. What I understand is God is constituted, no attributes. So something that has doesn't have attributes, it is very hard to approach it with our limited mind. So some form and the name is given to go approach through the name and forms. So because of that only the name and form is given or used as a tool to go and reach the absolute. So it is very hard to reach the absolute. Only we can understand it. Well, what we have to do is only understanding the reality and you say Brahman and all these things. So this is we don't have to go and reach something. It is not separate from us. So only thing is we have to understand this is that. So that is my humble understanding. Thank you, Sai Ram.
Thank you very much, brother. So I think we can proceed if there are no questions or other comments, please. Okay, good, sister.
Devotee. Yes, Swami, I have understood that.
Sorry, I want to interrupt here one more time. Because here they say Swami is talking about actual consummation of union with him. So what is that really means here?
Sai Ram. Sai Ram.
Oh, Sairam, Uncle, we can hear you. Go ahead.
So I think the vision of the Lord is a darshan, right? For example, when we go to Puttaparthi for a ceremony, for example, Shivaratri, so Swami says after a few days of devotee staying there, now that you have experienced the divine vibrations, go back to your own homes and your countries and live in that divine presence. That's formless. I think for beginners, we need that vision of Lord, darshan. And then once we come to a certain level, we have to contemplate on that divine vibrations, the experience that we, the bliss that we received. Thank you, Saira. Saira, brother Arun, yeah. I was just saying about the divine vibrations. I think vision is the vision of the Lord is the darshan. Am I right?
Yes, you could say, I guess, brother. Yes, brother, please go ahead. Brother Arul, actually, I didn't get your question. Sorry, can't you repeat that, please? I got disturbed.
Sairam, I think the brother Arul asked about what is the actual meaning or what is the intent meaning of the actual consummation of union with God. What it really means by the phrase that the actual consummation of union. Thank you, Sairam.
Okay, thank you very much. So the concept in Sanatana Dharma is that the water drop which left the ocean has to go back to the ocean and join it, having no separate existence from the ocean itself, which has been described in many different ways. One of the thing is Sayujyam, which is complete merger with God. So at that point in time, we do not see any difference between God and us. There's nothing separating us from God. So we will not even look at an external entity as God. Usually when we give a name, the God is outside us, somewhere far. It can be even near. We can even have a darshan. But the form is outside of us. But most people felt that that is also too far. Even if God stands next to me, it's too far. We should feel one. We should just completely merge in Him. So we don't have any other thought. So at that point in time, the world doesn't exist. Even God as a separate entity doesn't exist. So that is what they all sought for. And that's what Swami is saying. So many great devotees, they just wanted to merge. And take Meera, or Tyagaraja, all of them, Ramakrishna, they all just wanted to become one with God. So that their existence as a separate entity doesn't exist. So that is considered the final consummation of union with God. So we become so united that the world doesn't exist, even God as a separate entity doesn't exist. So that is supposed to be the goal. So that's what Swami is talking about. I hope. Anyway, it's too, I think, intellectual for us. We can't even grasp it, but that's what it is. I think, but we all, to some extent, experience it, and that's why we want, even if we want to buy something, we want it to become one of ours. Until then, we are, for example, if somebody wants to buy a car. So the thing is, until the car is separate, you are not at ease. And when you go and buy it and you bring it home and you say, this is mine, then that day you become so satisfied. But this is supposed to be much more than that, to become one with God, and so that no separate entity exists. Even the name and form don't exist. That's my understanding. So I thought I will share that.
Sairam, thank you, Brother Arun. Wonderful explanation. And if you permit, I can read one small lines from Devatin Kural, written by Raganapadi, about moksham or satkaram. Last lessons we discussed about Brahma satkaram, but it's a very high concept. But if you permit, I can read 6 or 7 lines regarding the concept of satkaram.
Is it in Tamil or English, brother?
It is in Tamil.
Okay, so I would ideally we should translate it and read it for everyone's benefit.
If you can help me to translate it, you can pass that message. But can I read this one or? Hello, Saram.
He's cut, I think, but yes, I think he has a little problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's a technical glitch, I believe, in Brother Aruno's maybe the computer system or audio system. That's why he couldn't be able to respond us.
He's back now.
In the meantime, Brother Arno was explaining about this Saujya Mukti. That's the merging with God. We all know that there are different stages of mukti, like Salokya, Sarubhya, and Saujya Mukti. So that's Salokya is living in the planet of the God, is living in the same planet with the God, and Sarupya is attaining the body exactly like God, sort of things. But Saujya, that is the topmost liberation state. That's Saujya Mukti. You all know that. Thank you, Saira. If anybody wants to add it, please continue.
Sairam, yeah, here from this, according to this Tevathin Kural Periyavar, actually Jeevan is Brahman itself. There is no separation between Jeevan and Brahman, but only we have delusion that since the Jeevan has body, that Maya it hides, so it hides the divinity of Brahman. That's what he understand. This Maya only it put a cloud over the Brahman, and we think that we are separate from Brahman, and we experience all happiness and sorrow, worry, and everything. All these I experience due to Maya. That is Maya only makes us to understand all these differences, experiences. But when we understand that this is the work of Maya, then there won't be any differences between Brahman and ourselves or Jeevan. And so you are already in the state of happiness. That is, your nature, it's a Brahman's nature itself is happiness. So we don't want to experience separate happiness. So
Excuse me, brother. Excuse me, brother. I think I understand it's a very relevant subject, but it is introducing topics which itself can start because Swami has not introduced Maya or Brahman yet, so it's a bit premature, I think.
Okay. I understand. Thank you very
because
much.
Because it's then we will have to spend some time because people may have questions. I hope because we are already studying this, and then if we introduce another subject which is also talking about variety of things. For example, Jeevan itself, Swami has still not introduced here, at least in the paragraph. So that's why we will. You read. Thank you very much. Okay. But I think I let no one ask any questions. That's all I wanted to tell.
Okay, it's a pleasure. Sorry. Thank you.
Okay, Sai Ram, brother.
Okay.
Sai Ram, Sister Kalyani, I think if there are no questions, I think you can continue to read.
Devotee. Yes, Swami, I have understood that. But you said that the name and form are based on attributes. Kindly explain this to me. Certainly. We must now pay attention to such important topics only, because the others are beyond your powers of imagination. Listen carefully. Since the Lord pleases all, he is known as Rama. So also he is the embodiment of love, Prema Swarupa. He is full of affection to his devotees. He is the ocean of mercy. In each such name and form, he has vouchsafed direct experience of the Lord, Sakshatkara, to devotees and blessed them with union with the divine, Sayujya. The formless God assumes all forms in order to bless devotees.
Sairam, everyone. I think I will open it up for discussion, please. Whatever sister has read, Swami has explained what the attributes are, given some examples. And as you can see, Swami himself saying, we must now pay attention to important topics only because others are beyond your powers of imagination. So that was, I think, it was a confirmation of what we discussed just now. I spoke to Mr. Kumar. So it's the same thing. So Swami is giving some examples of Rama and how we can experience Sakshatkara, direct experience. So if anyone has anything to say, please go ahead.
Sairam, brother, it looks like through the name and form only, because the reality is beyond power of imagination. So through name and form, like Tamil, Rama, Krishna, Sai, or any Kali or Shiva, anything. So only through name and form do we get the formless union, Saijya. The final consummation is reached only through name and form. Please confirm this one so that everybody can understand. No, everybody can know about this one. Yeah, it's true or not?
Thank you, Brother Sivadas. Anyone else would like to add, please complement what Brother Sivadas has said or has any questions?
Sairam, yeah, I would agree with what Sivadas has said, and Swami always, even Adi Shankaracharya,
Vimalesa, correct.
Adi Shankaracharya has established this Advaita philosophy, and the formless, nameless, attributeless of pure Parabrahman and all that, but still he establishes this Shanmada Stavar, he says, and he has sung stotras on all the gods, all Shanmada gods, Subramanya, whatever, all. So that is to show the practical usefulness of the form and name. And Swami has extensively talked about this. So for people, vast majority, extremely few exceptions, maybe they are otherwise, we need a form and a name. Through that only, then if we evolve spiritually, then there will be a state come, we go beyond form and name. And Swami has prepared his devotees, I would say, in the latter part of his discourses, he always says that. Even the other day, I was listening to Sai Giridhar speech, and he has been telling to his devotees that don't think me as this body and don't attach to this body, and referring to his body. So he has been preparing the devotees for that. So that's all. I just wanted to say that. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, brother, I just wanted to understand. Now Swami has came in the form, right? So now we are worshipping Swami. Why now I come across Swami, so I know his form. So I'm contemplating on Swami. In that case, where I will see that why I have to see formless again when I saw Swami in form. That's is giving me a thought here. Why we have to imagine as a formless when we have seen Swami in form. Thank you. If you can clarify that, it would be great.
Sairam, sister, actually, that's what Bhagawan is saying. What you said is that Bhagawan is also saying, no? Because the reality is beyond our power of imagination. It is impossible to reach that reality. So only through this sweet name and form do we develop the reality, and he, after the vouchsafe of his form, his darshan with form, we see that we get the darshan with form, and
Yes.
with that power, the God will take us into Him, which is formless and nameless. So it is an ultimate thing that we are not worried about. What you said is perfectly correct in with regard to other saints also. That's my understanding. Thank you, Sairam.
Sairam, Rajagopal here.
Yeah.
When we are going to the temple, we see that idols, everything there, we pray to the idols there. And after we come to home, we imagine the idols in our heart. We are praying to that. We are not seeing that. We are visualizing that in eyes, on our own eyes in that at home. We are visualizing in our heart that God is inside. At the same time, same thing, we are going to see that Darshan Swami's darshan. After we come to the room and we are praying to Swami, that the same form is in our heart. So we are praying to that same form in our heart. The name and the form and name, the same affected, the same effect give us to pray. There's no difference. I find it there. The same thing that our Swami is not in that in his own form right now. He's left his body, but still we are praying to Swami with our imagination and getting the Swami in our heart and praying to the Swami the same way, same thing. There's no difference to me. That's what I am saying, that name and forms are the same, but there's no different. Thank you, sir.
Sairam, I just want to, regarding this, I just want to point out this. Swami has stressed the importance of the worshipping in the form and name. He has regarding the Advaita philosophy and even this thing, he has said in the discourse I have read, if you want to go somewhere, you should know the goal. Without knowing where to go, the journey will be, you will never reach there. So to know the goal is important. So, but at the same time, at the level we are now, we definitely need name and form and worship and all this seva, whatever, all the sadhanas. But that doesn't mean we need not know the goal. We should clearly know the goal. That Swami has clearly said this, I have read. So that is why he has been telling all this. And also, so gradually we have to, Swami has said temple worship is kindergarten and so many things he has said. But at the same time, he says both the importance of the worship of the name and form, and also to go beyond that. So at least know the goal. That is Swami has said. So that is why we should know that. But other than that, for practical purposes, we will be doing all our sadhana and we will love Swami's name and form and all that. I just thought I should say that. Thank you, Saira.
Sairam, I want to add a few points here. like Sister Aruna was telling us a great point here. She was telling us a great point. Like to have that form, you know that the sages spent years and years in penance to have that satskara. They spent years and years to have that satskara for a moment of that that form. But for us, Swami was among. He was with us. He was among with us. But we didn't appreciate it. And like Brother Sivadas, or I don't know, Mr. Brother, somebody else was mentioning that the mind was blocking us. We couldn't realize it. Swami was, when we was within us, we didn't really recognize him as a Satskara. We were in thinking that Swami is like somebody else. We didn't feel that he's the God. We are living with God. That's a perception. We didn't have that kind of a perception. We talked about it, we say about it, but we didn't have that type of feeling. We are living with God. If we had that feeling, we would have been, our level of spirituality would have been elevated to some other levels. We didn't have that one. So that's my talk on this one. So we have to appreciate that, and we have to keep on trying our spirituality in a better way. Thank you, Saira.
So
okay, Sairam, okay.
Go ahead, brother.
Okay. So what Brother Arul said is a good point actually. During Baba's time, we didn't feel so much. We didn't think that he is a real form, and we didn't do that. That is understandable. At the same time, if we now take up his name and form and do prayer with sincere heart, love, giving up the worldly attachment, if we concentrate, and he will appear. Definitely he will appear. He will definitely appear and bless us with the nirahara, that is the formless union. He will bless us, definitely.
So we can consider Swami's form as a form and the feeling as a formless? That's the way we can...
What do you say?
No, Swami's form, you know how the physical form has a form, and the feeling that we have towards Swami can be considered as a formless?
No. Finally, when he appears, that's what happened. No, Baba has given Jodi Padmanabha Darshan to Purushottama and Shivananda the Vinaya Darshan. So when Baba gave that darshan to the devotees, he gives them not only the form, and he gives them the actual the vastness also. No, it is not simply darshan. The darshan will break our worldly and bodily ties and make the devotee to become one with God. So there is no need for now to aspire for formless state actually. So through, as somebody here, Arul, I think Brother Arul pointed out, no, so many saints and sages were worshipping a Lord for years and years with name and form, and ultimately they got the darshan, and through that darshan they get that the real Sahajya state, which is one with God. It is said to be formless, but we don't know. We are not worried about that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Saira.
Sairam. Yeah. When we study about Shiva, we are saying Aruvam Uruvam Illen Solim. Then we are saying no Adi Andam. What that means is Shiva. When we pray Shiva, there is no form. There is a formless God. We all pray like when we pray Shiva, we are praying like a formless. No form. I think that's what my understanding.
Sorry to say that. Okay, actually it is true. But so long as we have hunger, so long as we are hunger, so long as we have sleep, so long as we have other bodily excretion and everything. So that means we are independent of the body. When we have the independence of the body, that means we don't have thirst, we don't have hunger, and that state, if we develop that state, and at that state we can visualize formless attribute actually. So until such then, we have to have a name and form. That is many saying, Baba also saying the same thing here. That's what we must underline that part also. Sorry, this is my understanding. And Arno is there. Arno will confirm all this one. I don't know whether he was hearing all this or not.
Yeah, I was listening to it. Very nice discussion.
Sairam, when Swami was alive, Swami said, don't think this form is my reality. I'm above all these forms. That when Petapatu was writing this letter or his book, she was writing that that word is Adita Swarupaya. Swami corrected that she said all form of God. She was writing, and Swami said this above all form of God. My actual reality is. So Swami is in this form, but this is not real form. Swami is above all these forms. That actually there's no form, the reality. That Swami said, I am the one that came as Rama and Krishna now came that Sai Baba on earth, Swami said. Then we have to, when we are beginning, we get the forms and meditate on that. After that, gradually we increase our capacity and go up and up, and then we are praying to the formless God and then go above on that. That's my opinion. Thank you, sir.
Sairam. Now, I would like to just point out this. Of course, Swami has in the for Javasaida Dhyanam and all that, Swami recommended that for his devotees. So, name and form worship is very important. There's no doubt about it. But Swami, I want his devotees to spiritually evolve. So at least on concept, we should understand the ultimate state. We can't pretend that we are already in that this thing, but he wanted his devotees to understand, at least intellectually, conceptually, the ultimate is name without name and form, and he is that. He has taken form. Sairam.
Sairam, brothers and sisters. Just to add to whatever you have discussed, the reality is we are all using our senses and the mind to perceive God, to visualize even God. These senses are incapable of thinking of something which is formless. It is just impossible. Because that's the only thing the mind is capable of. Only when the mind is completely nullified, we will be able to experience that formless state, is what Swami says. So anyone attempting to try to visualize the formless today with our senses and our mind, we will fail miserably. So only thing, as Brother Millicent pointed out, we should know that there is something beyond this form, which is all encompassing, which cannot be understood by even our mind. Because after all, whatever we are doing, we are using our mind to even comprehend. It is completely beyond the mind. That is why in the Sanatana Dharma, the name and form were prescribed for everyone to follow. Even though they realized, the rishis realized that even Shankaracharya, who advocated Bhajagovindam, has sung for different deities of Hindu deities and prayed to them, just to show that ultimately, even though you understand intellectually that there's something beyond, you also should know that you can never comprehend it. So use all the faculties you have to worship the form and name. I think that is. I think Swami may be speaking about this later, but that's what I understand. So the Sakshat, I think someone mentioned that Swami coming amongst us is Sakshatkara. Yes and no, I would say, because that was out of his divine grace. He gave us a glimpse so that we will understand him. But without our effort, we will not fully benefit from it. I think that's all was discussed. Even though Swami was present among us, we really didn't make full use of it because our efforts were not there as much as required, I guess. I think those were good points which were discussed. Thank you very much. If there's anyone else.
This is Bhavani. I just want to share, I think this is one reason why we have pictures of Swami in our homes or even pictures of family members, because looking at that, for that split second, we are reminded or we remember these people or remember Swami. And I'm reminded of the Shiva temple, the Chidambaram Shiva temple. People say, "Oh, I'm ready to go see the secret." Chidambaram Ragasyam. I'm ready to go, and the priest opens it, and everybody gets so upset, saying, "What is it? I can't see anything. Why is the priest cheating me?" But I think we feel we are ready to see the formless, but I think many of us are still on that path. We may have glimpses once in a while, but I think still a long way, at least for me, to go. Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
And also at the same time, at least name will be coming for some. Even if we can get rid of the form, the name it has to come with us to a great extent. Sometimes people might some visualization could be without form. No, that even I myself personally felt long in the presence of Bhagawan in 1978. I felt it when a formless something inside the heart, but it is not enough. So at least name and form, and we have to love, and listen to his glories, assimilate it. In the glories, there's a teaching. Let us assimilate it. Then progress, and get rid of body attachment, worldly attachment. Only then we are marching towards a formless state. No, so until such time, this name and form is very essential. That's what confirmed by Brother Aruna, and all saints, and even Baba has said the same thing. Thank you, Baba.
So maybe I will just give a nice story, an incident. Maybe you may find it interesting. Once, one of the Swami asked one student, "Who am I?" Okay, and this boy looked at Swami and said, "You are the formless one, Swami, who have taken form." So Swami asked, "So you are sure that I am formless?" Then that boy said, "Yes, Swami." Then Swami told him, "Then I think you should go home now." So then he started crying. So he started crying and saying, "Swami, I want you." Then Swami said, "You stupid fellow, you're talking about concept which you don't understand. See, only through the form you can become the formless." Okay. So now you are at a stage where you need the form, so you enjoy it. Understand that it is formless, which has taken form. So it has a purpose. So without this relationship, you will not be able to enjoy the formlessness. And then he goes on to say, you have this form right now, and if you make it embedded in your heart, then even when this form disappears outside you, the form which you have imprinted in your heart will remain. So that is formless state, because the external form doesn't exist. But you have, because you have imprinted that form inside your heart. One is the external world. External world, you see a form, physical form. Okay, that will not last. But if you take this external form and imprint in your heart, even when the external form disappears, that is the outside world disappears, inside your inside world, you have the form imprinted. Okay, so as long as you are alive, you will have the internal form imprinted in your heart, and it will never change, at least as long as you are alive. So that is what you need to work towards initially. Look at the external form, take it and imprint it in your heart, and that is the first step towards going to the formless state. So at this point in time, don't trouble yourself with concept which you don't understand, but just understand that it exists. That is, the God is really formless. That is enough for you. This is the lesson which Swami taught a student. Some of us got to know of it, so I thought I would share that, so that we understand what are the steps in going from form to the formless. The external form is transient, temporary. Now Swami's form is not there. Now we are looking at pictures, but we have to take that and imprint it in our heart, so that even if the pictures fall and break or the statues are not there, we can always carry him with us. That form can be carried within us in our inside world or our mind. I think that is a step which most of us may have to work on. Saira.
Sairam, here, like Swami mentioning, and also to my understanding is according to the state of our devotion. Swami is in this mentioning in this sentence here in the previous paragraph, according to his attitude and devotion and worship. That part, I have to bring it to this the new paragraph here. So when so in this paragraph, Swami says, Lord priest of all, he is known as Rama. When he's known as Rama, what the impression that we have, seeing at the pictures of Rama, he has his bow and arrow, and then besides his mother Sita, and also Hanuman. That's the only thing that in my mind that comes up. And for the other words like Bhakta Vatsala, Prema Swarupa, Kripa Sakara, and all these things, I cannot find a form for those kind of things. But what I usually bring in the form of Swami, form of Sai in my mind, and then I can see in his face all these Kripa Sakara, the Prema Swarupa, all these appears in there. Those appears in there. That means that the feeling, the inner feeling that I have, is reflected in coming out from Swami. That is actually reflecting within me, but I can see them in Swami's face. This is what happened exactly. Even though Rama was among many of those people around those places, nobody could understand Rama was. I don't know whether how many of them understood Rama was as a god. But when Satari, she was praying, her attitude, her worship towards Rama, she considered that as a satskara, because that's the state of the mind of the person who is aspiring for that kind of aspiring for that kind of a level. That's my understanding on this paragraph. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brothers. Thank you very much. I think it's see, we have all read stories. All the gods which we pray to, whether it is Shiva or whether it's Rama, whether it's Krishna, they were all what we have read in books and the pictures we have seen in calendars and so on. Somebody has imagined and drawn, and all of them are static pictures. They are not live. Unless if you want something live, I think people watch cinema. So people have depicted. But the advantage some of us have had is to have a live form of God whom we can pray to. Even Swami, though physically not present, his actions, all his activities are captured in videos and so on. So it is easy for us to relate, as Brother Arul said, all the emotions, of divine form, we are able to relate to Swami. So the thing is, so many people felt, okay, we have had this form because our parents have introduced or something like that. In some book we have read. They're all bookish. But here there was a opportunity for a direct experience, number one. Number two, it also had a live form. It was not a static statue, Here a person was live and moving around and interacting with devotees. So that is a great boon, so that we can attribute, as Brother Arul said, all the qualities we want, and we can visualize and can build a better relationship. That is the grace of God when He takes an avatar. Like in Krishna Avatar, gopis had the opportunity, and in Rama Avatar, the monkeys had the opportunity. In this yuga, we have had this opportunity. And if we can put it in all in our hearts and make use of it, we can merge with God, make with Swami, as all of you have spoken in various different words. Thank you very much. It was a wonderful discussion.
Hi, Ram. So I have a problem explaining this to kids in Bal Vikas. I personally consider myself so lucky for having seen the form and interacted with them. But for this generation growing up not having that physical interaction, no matter how much you tell them, to them there's no difference between Swami and Krishna or Jesus or any of these gods. So to them, they're all the same, right? So sometimes I have a problem conveying that to them,
I think,
or
sister,
they have a problem understanding.
see, I think for them it is, I think all you are right, because for them it's all whatever happened in the past. But the reality is, Swami's videos are available, and there are people who have had live experience with him are available. So the thing is, there is a better chance of them being able to relate to the form of a form of divinity with Swami. And that's number one. Number two, the only way we can convey is they are going to look at us and see, have these people benefited? One thing is to say we have had an interaction with God, but only if they're convinced that here's somebody who seems to have benefited by this, only then they will pay attention. If maybe, they are immature possibly and they won't realize, but they would anyway, the interaction with them in our own lives, if we can demonstrate that this opportunity has improved us in some way, which we should know for ourselves. We don't have to tell others. If it has had an impact on our lives, that is the only way to communicate to anyone that this is worth trying. We can go back and look at other saints and their disciples. All those disciples went to their gurus and found that they seem to be experiencing God. Like Vivekananda asked Ramakrishna, are you able to see Kali? And he said, yes, I am seeing her just the way I see you. And he was touched, and he was so impressed by Ramakrishna that he took up the life prescribed told by Ramakrishna. So I think so the only way I think we need to, more than us telling, I think if we can implement it in our own lives and show the benefits which come from that relationship with God, I think that is the best way to communicate to the future generations, is my understanding. Saira.
Sairam, brother. So for the early stage, my understanding, we need some form to concentrate. So this is the best way, the human form, that's what we can understand better. So we think all the put as human form and we pray. But eventually, once we achieve something, whatever you said, the senses all depend on the senses. Even Ramakrishna's, one of the devotee asked, one of the disciples asked, when you are in samadhi stage, you forget about everything. But when you come back to the normal form, you started to pray and normal spiritual, normal other stuff and everything. He said, when I'm Samadhi stage, I can do everything. I can pray formless. But when I come to this world, I have to be pray the Kali, whatever you people are doing. So even though when we play in different form, you stick on one form. Even Namaskarana, you have to be on one name. Then you can develop your spiritual level. Thank you, Sairam brother.
Thank you very much, brothers. Thank you very much.
I have to add one more point in here. Like the Swami is mentioning about these names like Premaswarupa, Bhakta Bhakshala. My take on this one is how Swami reflected and how we acted in his life with us in different activities like services and other things. In each and every action of ours in this world should reflect, that should come out of us in a daily life, like a prema swarupa. Like are we really showing prema towards everybody, every other lives? That's one of the things. That's the key aspects of this paragraph, I believe. Like, are we really putting ourselves in that kind of a situation? Are we really somebody, other creatures in the world like that? And are we really, if somebody is suffering, are we kripa sakara? Are we really helping those people? Put ourselves in those situations. Like Swami, he was a model and he was a set example to us. Then are we really following that kind of example? And the Bhakta Vatsala, Swami says, full of affection to his devotees. Are we showing full of affection towards other people? These are simple things that we have to adapt into our life, like as a principle. Then we can see Swami. Definitely for that, then we can see Swami. We have to put everything in our daily actions. Then relating to Swami and relating to everything like a formless form or whatever it may be comes easily. That is my understanding. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, brother. I think on this point, maybe I will also like to add something. In one place, Swami has said that if you want to merge with God, you need to cultivate the qualities of God to merge with God. For example, he says, if you have water and fire cannot merge because water's qualities are different, fire's qualities are different. So if anyone wants to merge with God, so the water, for it to merge with fire, it has to first develop the qualities of fire. The same way as Brother Arul pointed out, only by cultivating the same qualities which we see in God in us, we will become qualified or eligible to merge with God. It just doesn't happen just because we ask Swami, we want to merge with you. He will say, you become like me, then it's easy for us to merge. So it's the same point which Brother Arul pointed out. And I think that's whatever we pray to Swami as, those same qualities we have to cultivate in us also. And that is the way we can slowly inch towards union with Swami Saira.
Sairam, I would just like to mention one little point. I got it from here. Why the name is so important. Even in the study circle, when we started Unity, in the very beginning, we all told the name, Unity, I am so and so, and Unity, I am saying something. After a while, we don't even need a name, but the way they speak or what point they are saying, or from the voice itself, we can identify who is this person. Say for an example, in Sai Fold, we all are brothers and sisters. Even I call Yildi, brothers, please help me. And even I put one little name, say for an example, Brother Arul, please help me. So immediately Brother Arul will get it attention. Sister Anandi is calling me. So the form or the name is very, very important. Name and the form both are important, but the name is so important. Even the form we can see only once and put it in our heart or mind. This is the form. Then we don't even need the form, but the name is very important up until we reach the stage of the maybe the Sayutya stage, that is the union with the divine. So the name is very important. The name and the form are in the very beginning stage. It's very, very important up until we reach the divine stage. That's my the little humble point on this one. Thank you, Saira.
Thank you very much, sister.
Sairam, I just wanted to add to one point to Bhavani's question in regards to how to teach the children Swami. How we are now teaching other gods where they have no physical form. We are showing the pictures and telling the story and doing things, then the children are following. The same thing with Swami too. Well, we tell the story about Swami, and we have to be, as Brother Aruna said, we have to be an example, following Swami's teaching. Then they have to be inspired with that to follow. So it's all up to the devotees to be an example, and then the children or others will follow. Thank you.
Sairam, sister. So if there are no other points, we will continue our reading. If anyone has anything, you can always come back. Sairam, Sister Kalyani, please go ahead.
Devotee, I am happy. I am indeed so happy, Swami. Through your grace, I am understanding quite clearly. Just one doubt. You said that the formless Supreme Self, Paramatma, has countless names. Are all names and forms equal? Is there any difference? Swami. What a question. Certainly, all names and forms are equal. Whatever name and form are worshipped, the Lord is only of that unique real form, Swarupa. It is possible to realize him through that name and form. But the devotee should pay attention to one matter. In whichever form the Lord is worshipped, the favor prayed for, the purpose must be one.
Thank you very much, sister. I think we sort of discussed this point that Swami is telling all names are equal, all forms are equal, but you have to choose one because there's no point in trying different names and different forms which will not take us anywhere. I think that Swami has talked about it earlier also. So here also he is talking about it very, very clearly. So anyway, I will leave it to any devotees who want to share your thoughts or something on this point which Swami is making. Please go ahead.
Brother Aruna, I have a question here. In the previous subject, Swami was talking about for dhyana, we have to have only one name. Like a meditation, we have to have only one name. And for other things, we can have different names. Swami was mentioning about that. And here Swami is focusing only on one name. So how does that relate to each other? Is there something that we have to follow or whatever it is? Please let me know. Thank you, Saira.
Can you repeat the question, Brother Arul?
So Swami explained in the previous, I think in this book, for dhyana, we have to have one name only. Meditate on that particular name, meditate on that particular form. But here Swami is talking about only one name. For other things, we can have different names. Only for dhyana, we have to have only one name. But here Swami is talking about only keep on one name. what is that? How can we relate to that here? Thank you, Sai.
Okay, Sairam. Does anyone would like to say something about this?
Sairam, I think I understand Arul's question, but the way Brother Arno described in some past study cycles that we sing a lot of bhajan with various names and the various attributes attributed to the names. So we can sing any number of bhajans, any name. That is essentially God is one. So that is a different. But for the purpose of meditation, for sharp attention, to sharp concentration, and we have to have one name and one form. That is even Brother Arno has said it in the previous session. Thank you, Sairam. I don't know whether I got the question correct from Arun. Thank you, Sairam.
So I will attempt. I think Brother Silas has quoted me. So the thing is, I think people can get a bit confused because, for example, if you take bhajans, Swami will say include all potential names, names of all gods from all religions and so on. So we should understand what is the purpose of that and what Swami is talking here. I think that's the question which Brother Arul is asking. See, personal sadhana means you need to have a one-to-one relationship with God, and for that we should have one name and one form. I think that is very clear against here. But in the case of many of us coming together in a group setting, and when we pray together, we need to be able to work with everyone else in this world because everyone else is also unique. So at that point, to bring unity among many people of various faiths, beliefs, and likes and dislikes, we sing to all the forms of God, all the names of God, and all the forms of God also, so that there is a camaraderie and we can all work together. Because each one is going to be so unique that if we stick to our own path, we will not be able to work together. And in reality, in this world, we all don't have much of a choice but other than to live as a community, as a society. And for that purpose, there has to be a building of bridges. So the devotee who thinks this is my name, that's why in the concept of Ishta Devata is there in Hindu, in Sanatana Dharma, where you have what a form which you like, a name you personally like. That is your Ishta Devata and Ishta Devata's name. But when we have to live among many people, we also should be understanding of their own Ishta Devata and their own name of the Ishta Devata. So that is why at that time we can also sing the same other different names, knowing very well it is our own Ishta Devata, his name is that also. And I think so both of them have different purposes, but ultimately for our own self development and our own individual path towards God, the single name and form is essential. That we can never forget or ignore. I think that's what Swami is referring to. But in a group setting, we can sing everyone's names and take joy that our Lord is known by other names too. Okay, Sahiram, I hope that answers the question. Brother Arul, I don't know whether I have answered properly.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. That answers the question. Thank you.
I'm sorry. I don't know if this question is a bit off topic, but we spoke so much about how important it is to have a name and form. What about religions like, say, Islam, where they do believe in a formless God, or like what Swami spoke about before about atheistic theists, like those people who may say that there is no God, but they do feel like some sort of spirituality or some sort of higher presence, or they're searching for some sort of truth, though they don't believe in any one name or form. Is that also a possible path for some people?
Okay, thank you, sister. It's a good question. I will open it for anyone else who would like to comment on this, please.
Saira. Actually, in Islam, they say Allahu Akbar, no? So that's what I was telling, and some people are supporting that view. At least name we need. So in that name, actually in Islam, there are Bhavani was telling the other day, Sister Bhavani, actually more than 90, I think 94 or 96 names in Quran where the Lord Allah is described. So they also have that. I have read it, but Sister Bhavani, are you there? You can talk to me after that. So they have a lot of names in their religion. But there is no form as so to say. But still in the mosque you see the crescent and star in all mosques. So it is not totally not formless. They have the moon and star, but it is only one form. But in the name in that name they have all these attributes. So it is that's what we are saying. The name is very, very important than form. No, in even one day, my brother Arno said also. One day when Arno said, name is important. So they have name. So they have a bit of form as well. That is my understanding. And Sister Bhavani, can you say how many names are there in Islam?
Yes, so you can Google. It has 99. Allah has 99 names, and
Yeah.
if you just, and it's all in Arabic, which we do not understand. But if you take the time to read the English translation, it's no different to our Ashtotra. It beautiful names. We went through this in Balvika's class, and even the little kids agreed that the words describe him so well. It's as if you're talking to Swami or any of our gods. So that's one point, Uncle. The second point, my understanding is why Islam doesn't believe in reincarnation. So it's just here and now. You just have only one lifetime to achieve that. So that's why their religion has so much of intensity and almost like pressure to get to their goal, whereas we in Sanatan Dharma, it's like, let's take, we have the option of taking the scenic road. Okay, let me get there next birth and enjoy life right now, or go at my pace. So I feel that Islam is of at a higher level for a group of people who are willing to follow that path. Thank you.
Sorry. Sairam, anyone else would like to add to this? So, Sister Kalyani, this question was asked by Arjuna, posed by Arjuna to Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. So in the Bhakti Yogam chapter 12, Arjuna is asking, the chapter starts with Arjuna's question. Krishna, tell me, this attributeless, formless name, there are some who worship that. And then there are those who worship with form and with attributes. Which one do you prefer? Is the question which Arjuna is asking. And to which, of course, Swami has described this in Gita Vahini very clearly. But then Krishna is telling, yes, both are good. As long as they think of me all the time, they will both attain. Okay? But then he goes on to say, Klesho Adhikatarastha means the difficulties which the people without form or without attribute, the people who pray to the Lord without form and attribute, is immense. And there are very high chance from them falling a victim to sorrow and difficulties, facing difficulties is possible, because it's a very tough path and not easily achievable by people who are caught in this world of name and form. So the thing is, it's in Sanatana Dharma, we should understand what is the stage in which we are. So according to Krishna and also Swami, if we are caught up in this world of name and form, we can never fathom the God who is nameless and formless. So we all have to take up the spiritual practice based on the spiritual level of growth or evolution. And so Swami, in his own way, he has come and told, it's better you follow the path of name and form. And even jnanis who have achieved, who know the formless one, they also worship the form, the one with form, not because they needed it, but because to set an example for those who are in that stage. Just like a teacher, like Swami himself used to take Arati when he started the bhajans. Okay, so the thing is, they just like a teacher would say A, B, C, D, though she knows A, B, C, D. She doesn't have to repeat the alphabet. To teach the children, she repeats. So the same way, the form is an essential part of worship. And that is part of Sanatana Dharma. And that is something which Swami has introduced. And you can see even Muslim devotees, people who don't believe, even Buddhists, who are followers of Buddha have come to Swami and have understood their religion much better. And they have come to terms with the real interpretation. I think one of the problems with some of these religions is the way the followers have interpreted the teachings of the original founder. And the original founders may have not really meant what the interpretation today is, but that's the reality. So Swami has come and told us this is what it is. So then whoever has taken Swami as Guru will take this as the form, as the right process to follow. Sairam, I hope I didn't spend too much time giving an answer, and I hope I have answered your question.
Yes, thank you very much.
Can we go on to read the next para or something? The next pair?
Sorry, Uncle, I just want to see the time. Is it past the time?
It's 10:17. Yeah, okay, it's past time. So then we will close today. We had wonderful discussions of the form, the importance of name and form, and how we can relate and reach that name and form through achieving sakshatkara and also merger, becoming united with that same form. So I think we have plenty to think about for the next week, and we will meet again next Saturday. Thank you very much. Sai Ram to all of you. We'll close with Samasta Loka and Shanti. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Samasta Loka Sukhino Bhavantu. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.